It's entitled "How NATO Weakens the West." And literally, the more you subsidize them, the more dependent they are on us. If we would back off, I think Europe would become much stronger, much more self-sufficient, and there may be 3 powers in the world, which to me would be a benefit rather than 2 conflicting powers. You want to follow up?
Well, that's an interesting idea about the European community, but I would think that you would have to worry about like a conventional force sweep, or even something worse than that, where we would lose Europe. As a it's better to have people that are semi-supportive of us there than people that would not at least support us.
Okay, you have a legitimate point. I don't happen to agree that that's what happened, but let's assume that you are right. The next question you have to ask is, let's say that there is a sweep. The Soviets moved into West Europe. Are you willing to give your life, and ask everybody in this room to give their life to go and fight the cause? Do I have, as a politician, the right to confiscate your life and send you over there in the name of preserving freedom in America when it might not have anything to do with America? It may be a just cause, but just as not smoking and not drinking and using drugs is a just cause, that doesn't allow me, the government, to be involved. Just because there's somebody poor doesn't give me the right to intervene in the economy. So these just causes, I think it would be a just cause if the communist government was overthrown in the Soviet Union right now. But the just cause is not a legitimate excuse for doing this. I happen to believe that strategically it would not happen, but even if it did, I would say that I'm not going to draft you to do it.
What about keeping our nuclear forces over there, so then the likelihood of this happening would be less so?
Again, if there's going to be a fight over there, I just assume us not be involved. So I would say the nuclear forces need to be here. They turn on us. The French have already turned on us. The Spanish are throwing us out even this very month. They've asked us to take out our 72 F-16s that we have had there. They don't even appreciate us. We decide, erroneously, by the way, to go down and bomb Gaddafi for something that nobody proved in the court what he did. We go down there and kill his kid, and we try to fly over Europe, and they won't even let us. So we buy nothing. We buy nothing but debt for you in this so-called idea of protecting Europe for the safety of the world. It doesn't work. I think Europe would be much stronger by saying to the Europeans, look, we're going to leave in 5 years. We're going to save some money, and we believe you can take care of yourself. France has been doing it. Spain doesn't want us there any longer, and we're just coming home. And I believe it is the best way, and even if, again, if you don't agree on the principle of it, I mean, we have to do some cutting. There's no money left, and something has to be cut back. And again, there's no way. Reagan lost the argument. He said, we'll cut welfare and raise the military. Well, welfare wasn't cut and the military went up. So the liberals might get in and say, well, we're going to cut military and raise the welfare. I say the only answer is the libertarian, who would come up with a sensible economic policy and a sensible foreign policy and say, let's get back to basic economics and use the arithmetic.
Okay. I see your logical thought pattern, but still, I see a world that would develop where it would be, the whole world would be, if you're just so far into letting this, the scenario would be that the Soviets would run rapid, so then the whole world would be us against them.
Well, that I don't believe, because I don't think the communist system is strong enough to feed themselves. But you have to defund them. I mean, we continue like Solidarity was about to be a major political force, and what did the Reagan administration immediately do? Through the Export-Import Bank and the Commodity Credit Corporation, they ran to bail out the government of Poland. Why? Because they cared about freedom? No, to protect the bankers that the Polish government owed money to. That's what directs your foreign policy. It has very little to do with communism, the threat of communism. Why did we invade Grenada? To stop communism? No, it was to cover up the disaster in Beirut, to cover up that major disaster. Why do we continue to fund them if they're serious about it? Take away all the funds. They can't even feed themselves. They can't even win in Afghanistan. But they're going to do a lot more as long as we support them, and we're getting ready to send them more money. That's why the treaty is so bad. It's up on top.
Yeah, maybe you addressed this. I came in a little late. How do you deal with the fact that you're so unelectable?
So
unelectable. I mean, I haven't heard of your name.
I'm not convinced yet.
So you're not. I think many people I haven't even heard your name until tonight. You're not out milking cows.
But you'll never forget it.
You're not out milking cows. You're not out on the trail. You really feel you have a great chance? I mean, maybe there are people who like your ideas.
No, I think there are a lot of people who do, because we've done some testing. And you have a good point. I think I'm not going to be naive and say that I'm on the verge of victory. But if we take these positions and line them up and don't put any labels on them and just ask you, do you believe in free enterprise? Do you believe in individual liberties to lead your life as you want to? Do you believe we ought to change our foreign policy where we don't get suckered in and pay for all the defense of all our rich allies and continue to support communism and the banker system? The American people, yes, 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 there are 80–90% who agree with these ideas. But as soon as we put labels on them and we talk about a political system and voting, yes, we have a difficult time. But that's what this year is all about. The party's been around since 1972. It was the first time we had a nominee. We were on 2 ballots. We're expecting to be on 100 ballots this year. I expect to be in the debates. I was in New York yesterday. I had an hour interview with Bill Buckley. Things are just coming together for us. C-SPAN's been very generous. They've covered the race. Cable News Network has covered the race. No, I'm not on the evening news. But I am also convinced that there's a serious problem in this country and that we have some very serious, thoughtful answers to the problem. So it takes work and effort. It takes a political movement. But the best ally we have for accomplishing what we're trying to do are the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, they're just doing a wonderful job for us because everybody's getting so turned off. And, I mean, Gary Hart's the leader of the Democrats today. And what kind of Reaganite is going to believe George Bush is going to fulfill the role that Ronald Reagan couldn't even fulfill? I mean, people aren't voting anymore. They're very disgusted. The turnouts are lower than ever. Very few people identify themselves as Republicans or Democrats. And here we are in the midst of caucuses and early primaries. And we're dealing with 5 and 10% of the people participating. The majority of the people are thinking along these lines, but your point is correct. I haven't gotten the message out yet, but that's my whole purpose, the intention and the goal, of course. And if the people want it, and it will certainly help, I believe I deserve to be on the debates come November, October, November, whenever the debates occur. And I think it's very important. I think the American people, they don't necessarily deserve me, but they deserve to hear the ideas that I'm talking about.
This relates to the history of your party, which started in 1971. I came and listened to Ed Clark back in 1980 and supported him, voted for him in the election. And the question relates to during your candidacy and prior to that, you were elected to the Congress, and your voice was actually heard during that period of time. I mean, you were actually able to vote, excuse me, able to vote and make a decision. If you're not elected, and if members of your party are not elected, then that voice is not heard. Why would these people here, myself or anyone else, try to get involved in that political process where the odds are greatly enhanced if they get involved in a political party where if they are elected, their voice will be heard?
I don't think their voice will be heard, and I think their vote will be wasted, because there is no difference between the two parties. They both endorse the philosophy of intervention. And no matter whether you vote for the conservative or the liberal, if you vote for the conservative to reduce deficit, it doesn't happen. Or if you vote for the liberal to decrease the chances of a war, that won't happen either. So they're wasting their votes. So therefore, their only option is to join us and work in our efforts until we are elected.
The parties right now, you're correct. I don't see a lot of difference in a lot of those members. But your party itself has members like yourself and Russell Means. If people that, as far as the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, if I have a libertarian attitude, which I do, and I'm a member of a political party, it seems to me if I am elected to a state legislature or whatever political process I would be in, that it would be greatly enhanced.
Well,
that's my point.
If that is your point, that if you say that you might be considering running for office and you have very libertarian views, does that mean that your only option would be to come and join the Libertarian Party? I think I have to be realistic because I've done both, and I I ran as a Republican with libertarian views and hopefully had some positive influence and a positive impact. And yet the decision I made was a personal one, which is important. So if somebody else, if they're believing the same thing and they're going to go about it a different way, I'm not going to have a lot of strong criticism, especially if they're successful. But my reason for changing was historical, in the sense that I believe in looking at monetary history, since I've studied a lot of monetary history, is that big things are about to happen. And therefore, I don't want to, you know, I could have stayed in the U.S. Congress as a Republican, but I wanted to make more points and to deliver the message differently. I want to have more of an impact. It doesn't mean that that individual who has libertarian views that would run and get elected, I cannot be critical of that, but I think the real impact has to be, especially for me, to say that the message of freedom, the message of liberty, has to be delivered to the American people in a different way than through the Republican Party.
I'm sure you all have more questions, but time is a scarce resource. So I'd like to take this time to thank Ron Paul for coming here.
It's great. I really enjoyed being with you. Thank you.